Friday forecast, Michigan State style, Senior Day style, Sean. Let's first talk about the week that was. Nebraska's offense generating more than 600 yards of total offense in frigid conditions. That had to be an eye-opener for the rest of the league.
And I think that was a question. What would this look like in cold conditions? And we saw the coldest kickoff temperature in Lincoln in 25 years Saturday. We're going to see another colder kickoff probably in the 20s here on Saturday against Michigan State. And this offense didn't slow down at all. And I think the biggest thing is the wind, and the wind wasn't an issue. It was cold, but the wind did not really play a factor as far as what Scott Frost wanted to do, and that offense looked as good as it did any point of the season despite the cold conditions.
We've talked about Divine Ozigbo quite a bit throughout the season, but it's worth mentioning, especially coming off this week where he was named the Big Ten Offensive Player of the Week. Scott Frost said it again on Monday. This guy has a chance to continue playing after this season where nobody thought that before the year began.
Well, and you're seeing him really show off that added speed he's put on in the offseason. I mean, back-to-back 60-plus yard runs. He had never had a 60-yard run in his career. He gets two in one game, and I thought that second run, the way he outran the angle, just opening it up in the open field, he's playing at another level, and he's knocking at the door of all Big Ten. He may not get first team all Big Ten. You've got Karan Higdon at Michigan and Jonathan Taylor at Wisconsin, but I think Divine Ozigbo could easily be a second team all Big Tenner, and Stanley Morgan and J.D. Spielman as well. I mean, they've got three legitimate all Big Ten conversation guys on offense.
Gerald Foster said Divine is 3 steps quicker than he was a year ago. I'm not going to argue with that. You mentioned Stanley Morgan Jr. He's knocking at the door for a couple of career records. He's 4 catches away from becoming the Huskers' all-time receptions leader, and he's about 91 yards away to become the all-time yardage leader. That's a pretty good feat for a guy who started out without the greatest start this season. You know what I mean?
But the joke is J.D. Spielman said, I'm going to get that record in 2 years.
Right.
I mean, it's kind of been a passing of the records at Nebraska from Nate Swift to Kenny Bell to Jordan Westerkamp to Stanley Morgan and now J.D. Spielman. But, yeah, Spielman got off to a slower start. Morgan got off to a slower start. And you've started to see him, I think, post-Northwestern really come on. And I think Scott Frost realized, especially that Northwestern game, they didn't go to him enough. Right. They lost that game. And I think since that game, they've made a conscious effort to go to Stanley Morgan and really rely on their senior.
Defensively, the Huskers turning the ball over in terms of takeaways. They had 5 of them on Saturday, and that's 11 in 3 games. That really has been the difference. We may look at them giving up a bunch of points and the yards, but the bottom line is that they're getting the stops and the turnovers when they need to.
Well, and when you have an offense like Nebraska has, it's not about having an elite-level defense that slows the play of the game down. It's about creating more opportunities for that offense. And if Eric Shenander's crew can do 3 to 4 turnovers a game, Nebraska's going to win a lot of football games under Scott Frost here in the future.
What do you think coming forward? Outstanding test to end the season. Let's start with Michigan State. Obviously, the Spartans come to town, and they're going to be an angry bunch, an ornery group after getting beaten badly against Ohio State.
But they are a beat-up football team. I think when you look at this team, the timing for Nebraska with this matchup is a huge edge. The Spartans come in as one of the most injured teams in the conference. They've played everybody in the East already at this point. So this is going to be a team that hasn't had a bye for a while. Physically, they're beat down, and I think that's a huge edge for Nebraska with how they're playing. And you heard Scott Frost say how fresh this team is health-wise compared to maybe past teams at Nebraska. And the former trainer, Mark Mayer, who's been here since 2004, can attest to that. He's seen Nebraska teams here now for 14 years. And, he said, wow, we're about as healthy as I can ever remember a team in November.
Yeah, it's not who you play, but when you play them, right? And this team does have bounce in its step in terms of Nebraska, especially for a 3-win team. They want to close this thing out right, don't they?
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a 3-win team. And I think everybody kind of is almost excited already for next year, just knowing what this can be. And it's unfortunate they're not going to get a bowl game. I think that extra month would have been fun for everybody, the players and the fans. But it's just not going to happen. The 5-7 thing just looks like a complete long shot with the amount of 6-6 teams and other teams out there this year. But still, nonetheless, they're playing the kind of football you want a team to play in November. And these last 2 games, Andy, Michigan State and Iowa, are going to be true measuring sticks.
It will be fun, no doubt about it. The Spartans come to town. Michigan State, Nebraska, 11 a.m. kick here in Lincoln. It's on Fox.